increased my salary by 177%. You got to understand, you're built for more.
Mm.
You got to claim it. And you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
And so first, we want to just welcome each and every one of you here. I see my girl Lucretia is on here. We have Gail Tamisa. So we're not doing any official bio reads or any of that because one of the things that I loved about Jraya, we connected on Substack probably a couple of weeks ago. And immediately I was like, I like her. Like there was no, there was no formal introduction or any of that. We just connected. And I believe that when we connect like that, that means that there's conversation that we, need to have, things that we can just really dive deeper into. And that's what I'm excited about today. Lucretia says she felt the same. Yes, I immediately was like, I like her. I like her a lot. I love your boldness. I love what you stand for as what you are now teaching people how to do. And so to dive into the conversation, I want you to just tell the people a little bit more about who you are so they'll know why they need to connect with you.
Come on. I like the need word. First, before we even kick off into that, I want to genuinely thank you because I am relatively new to this platform, Substack, and scrolling your profile, it immediately jumped out, caught my attention. And what struck me is as we engaged via DM, one of the things that stuck out was, hey, if you need my help, I'm here. And people really don't put enough on that. So we connected, and I wanted to kick off with that because that means a lot in this day and age. The human connection, I think, is going to be even more important that, the business of people. So I want to thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Now, to all of you that are new to me, my name is Jraya Nicole. That is my author name. And I'm a career strategist. I'm a corporate exit mentor. I help ambitious, driven people. They're no stranger to success. Looking to redesign a career that are being called to something beyond the title.
Come on.
What that means is they've mastered it, but they're still feeling unfulfilled. And my relevance and my backstory is I was an entrepreneur before I entered corporate, and I was able to experience six figures on both sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the real breakthrough, it doesn't come from climbing higher.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from owning your next chapter with purpose.
I love that. I
Right?
love that.
Now, we want a position for us that with impact that lasts. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm so honored to be here with you today.
Listen, I love that. I love that you talked about beyond the title. That's what I want us to kind of dig into a little bit, a little bit more, because we don't understand how we can get so engulfed in the work that we do, and we can get so caught up in our titles that we forget to live out our calling. And so one of the things that I really loved when I did come across your work was the statement from corporate to calling. And I think that's so important, especially for a time as now, because we're seeing a lot of pivots. We're seeing a lot of shifting. We're seeing a lot of people saying, yes, I've had the success. Yes, I've made the money. Yes, I have the titles. I have the receipts. Like, we can pull out, a Walgreens receipt that is miles long, right? However, beyond all of that, beyond that title, there is a calling that I believe that we are witnessing in these shifts and these pivots, that we're not just being called to do a different type of business. That's what I want to talk about. We're not just being called to do a different type of business. We're called to pivot into the purpose, which is where our ultimate power is. And so even when I think about our power and our ability to build wealth and to have the success and things like that, I want us to have the conversation about how you recognized after you made those people all that money, right? Because we didn't talk about that yet. How you made them all of that money, but what could have been a moment where you sat and sat in sorrow, right? Or you sulked about it. But you said, no, I understand that this is bigger than what I've been building. Now it's time for me to go from corporate to calling. Can we talk about that? Because I don't think we had that conversation enough. And as I said, I think this new era that we're seeing, I believe that's what's happening right now.
And you're spot on. People are realizing that they are totally replaceable.
Mm.
It and our mama's and daddy's playbook no longer applies.
Come on,
So what
tell the truth today.
does that mean? So the corporate to calling is about releasing the guilt
Yes.
or what you are committing corporate treason for putting you first.
And
Now,
oh, that's good.
now,
Say that again. Say that again.
corporate treason when people feel guilty for putting themselves first. Okay.
Yes.
The shift is real, is understanding that you are the value and it shouldn't be boxed into a title, to an organization, or to a certain industry,
Mhm.
right? We are allowed to grow. The shift from hustle to harmony, the corporate to calling is all about, or it starts with the mindset of building the business of you.
Mm.
Finding that because you've done the 5 a.m. grind, you've got the certification. The people I work with are degreed alphabet soup to the moon.
Okay.
But if you are not aligned what truly fulfills you, you'll realize that you reached the wrong mountaintop very quickly.
Oh, that's
So
good.
let me give you a scenario.
Mhm.
During my corporate tenure, I was laid off twice. The first one hit me in the gut. The second one is the gap that I now feel for people that are looking at that uncertainty, are standing at that crossroad, is having a plan before you need a plan.
Okay.
The calling is what I talk about. It's the sweet spot, meaning that you have the skills, you have the experience, you have the tenure in the background. The blend is okay, how can I get paid and live good?
Mhm.
And then the third piece of that calling is, do I actually enjoy this? Am I serving? Am I in purpose? And when you blend those three, as you said, the shift
Mhm.
in this economy, this is a very necessary and needed conversation because we want to be in offense. We don't want to be in defense. I've been on both sides. My second layoff, I was ready. And when I got that 15-minute Zoom call that said basically, thank you for your service. And in my mind, I was like, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so that's the gist of it.
I like that because one of the things, there are a couple of things that you said that stood out to me, and I'm glad Lucretia is lighting this comment section up with these
I
quotes.
think
I love that. There are a couple of things that you said though. You talked about feeling guilty for putting themselves first. That is such a necessary conversation, especially as women, because our entire lives we have been told and taught, and it has been indoctrinated into us that you are last, that you don't deserve to be first. And so what happens is we don't realize, because we've lived in that identity of less than for so long, when we go into corporate, when we go into our building our own businesses, we take that same identity with us. We'll feel guilty for putting ourselves first when it comes to deciding that I no longer want to do this type of work because it doesn't feel good to me, right? Because you spoke on that too. Does this feel good to me? Is this something I really want to do? Because that is a part of putting yourself first. And the guilt in that will cause you to stay in a place serving a certain, whether it's a group of clients, whether it's continuing to facilitate a certain program or continuing to sell a certain offer, because you've been taught that putting yourself first is not honorable, is not the right thing to do. You will continue to serve clients you've outgrown. you'll continue to build a business model that's burning you out. You'll continue
Absolutely.
to stay a part of communities and networks that devalue you. Why? Because you are still operating under the identity that I don't deserve to put myself first.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. The first section of my book is entity of identity.
Wow. I love.
It's those limiting beliefs. That's why I'll commonly say your mama and your daddy's playbook no longer applies.
Mhm.
Not to say that they weren't relevant in their time, it's just moving forward, exactly what you said. And I want to touch on something when you say feel good, because calling it feel good, although they run in parallel lanes, there's a bit of a difference.
Mhm.
I'll explain. Feel good, I believe, sometimes can be fleeting, as in motivation, it can be fleeting. But when you are locked in on your why,
Mhm.
and when you decide to make that pivot in your business, in your venture, in your partnership, from people, from places, from who you used to be,
Mhm.
when you unapologetically make the choice to do that, the feel good goes into a deeper perspective, which is the calling. Meaning, once you're tied into that purpose of where you're going, you've created that North Star.
Mhm.
The hard times are all worth it. The
Yes.
sustainability starts to form. The
Mhm.
long game is starting to be mapped out. That's why in my talks, you hear me talk about legacy moves. And in this market where everybody wants something quick,
Mm.
I tell people the overnight success happens in what you do every day.
Yes.
Let's not play with it.
Mhm.
What are you doing every day? What are you doing that's not serving that North Star? So that's the framework, that's the mindset of corporate to calling. Now, when I talk about being an entrepreneur, I'm not talking about those that just are in a entrepreneurial or business owner or CEO role.
Mhm.
You can truly have an entrepreneurial mindset and still work for an organization.
Okay.
That mindset is what took me to six figures. My salary was increased 177% from an entry level corporate role. It increased in 3 years, 177%. And that wasn't by chance.
Right. I love that.
That I took my entrepreneurial toolkit with me. Those are the things that helped me sustain throughout layoffs, to pick myself back up, letting go of the titles without losing your value.
I like that.
Come on now. So that's where we're at. That's where we need to be.
Yes, absolutely. You said, okay, let me go back because you didn't say feel good. You said, do I actually enjoy this? That was
Mhm,
what you said. Do I actually enjoy this? And so a lot of times we associate the enjoyment with the feelings only. So I'm
mhm.
glad that you were able to reposition it so that we understand even in the moments that it doesn't feel good, it doesn't negate the call. Am I
Come on.
clear on that? It doesn't negate the call.
Crystal clear.
Okay. All right. Good. I want to make sure that that I'm in alignment with what you meant by that.
Mhm,
Um, the other thing you talked about is you mentioned legacy, which I am
mhm.
so very aligned with that word because my thing is always legacy over labels. Like that is my thing because we often just focus on the right now and fail to realize that when you are building legacy, what you do every single day, the small things that don't get the claps, right? The things that no one sees. When you're still in the gym putting in work 5 days a week and you haven't lost any pounds, you just lost a few inches, right? And
Mhm.
so it's those moments that really set the foundation for you to actually build legacy because legacy lasts. It lasts. And anything that lasts is not meant to be built fast. And so I'm glad that you brought that to the conversation, especially in the day of social media, virality, algorithm
Mhm.
chasing, right? All of the likes, the comments, the dopamine driven mindset that we have adopted because we're trying to feed the right now. We're trying to feed that feeling when in reality, nothing that is actually meant to last or that is going to have true impact is built in a rushed state. Why do y'all think our grandmothers were up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, putting Sunday dinner on? right? Because when you put that pot roast on at 5 in the morning and it cooks for 8 hours, you can cook that same pot roast for 2 to 4 hours, in your crock pot, but it's not gonna have the same savor as it did when Granny let it cook for 8 hours.
Come
You
on
get what I'm
now.
saying? And so it's important that we understand that. So can you dig into a little bit more about um some of those foundational components that are necessary for you to have that legacy that you desire to have?
So good, so good. I love the Sunday dinner, so nostalgic. So let me make sure I understand your question. So foundational. One thing that I often talk about for people that are in the thick of it, they're at the crossroads, right? They
Yes.
they are in the idea phase, looking to make the choice. Read the room.
Mm.
It's the discernment. And I work with a lot of people middle age. My target audience is 35 to 55. So there's a wealth of experience that you got to lean on and trust yourself.
Mhm.
If it doesn't feel right, trust your gut.
That's
What
true.
does that mean? If you were once invited to rooms and you start to see a shift, and I'm speaking to those of you that are in corporate and maybe the emails aren't coming to you anymore. Maybe you're not to get invited to certain meetings or you're catching things after the fact. Those are some of the tactical foundational things that seem very small. But these are the things that help you from getting blindsided, right?
Mhm.
Because we want to be, again, go back to that offense stance. Or even just take a step back and look at the news. Look at your company's metrics. If you are an entrepreneur, business owner, where is your industry going, particularly in this age of AI?
Right.
You could have an absolutely wonderful idea, but let's be real, is artificial intelligence 1,000 steps ahead of you.
Absolutely.
So reading the room is a foundational skill set that I think a lot of us just don't trust.
Mhm.
When your gut is telling you something is not right, or perhaps you're seeing people. There was one book I read, it was an office politics book, but when you're seeing people being promoted and you know doggone well, you, I mean, that's a company that's starting to demonstrate what they value. And
Mhm.
there's a
That's good.
misalignment. So that's one of the foundational things is reading the room, whether it's the market, whether it's the company you work for, whether it's behavior of leadership. Those things that take you forward. Another thing I would say is when it comes to foundational, I just did a community poll and a couple of things people were, when I asked them, I said, if you were looking to change your job, what's the first thing to come to mind? Is the top was financial runway. And a lot of us, and I say us, the conversation of money has always been in the back. But
Yeah.
it's time when we're talking about thriving and not surviving, which is my book is the moniker, is going from corporate surviving to entrepreneurial thriving. Money got to be in the conversation. And you
Every
got to
time.
those conversations bold.
Every time. Absolutely.
So a 3% annual raise is the average, but those of you that weren't here earlier, I increased my salary by 177%. You got to understand you built for more.
Mm.
You got to claim it. And you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's good.
so the foundational piece here is know your worth, advocate your value. Let's start talking about money. Then you might see some things that equitable pay comes into somebody may have been brought on doing less than you and being paid more than you. That's a signal. Those of you that are in your corporate job, and for those of you that are an entrepreneur deciding where to take your business to continue your business or to scale your business, you got to start looking at the market research. The data should be driving you.
Yeah.
The book is in the unsexy stuff.
Yes. Yes.
It's not going to be on Instagram. It's going to be in things like white papers, CNBC. It's going to be in things that are data backed by people that are studying this stuff day in, day out. And to be honest, you can go on in Chat GPT and ask some of those questions, but you got to know where to start and
You
what
have
to
to
ask.
know where to start.
I
Yes.
know.
What to ask. Yes.
I don't want to overcomplicate it and overload the conversation, but
Mhm.
read the room, talk about the money, and start fine tuning your circle.
I love it.
What do I mean? Proximity is power. Reach out to people that are doing what you want to do. And I was going to get into that before we close, but
Mm.
coaching, mentoring, associates has been the best thing that I have tapped into in my professional and personal life. I can't say enough about it.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
That have done what you have done, where you're trying to go, there's a humility you have to bring yourself to say, you know what? They got it going on. I want to reach out to them and see what I can bring of service to them,
Mm.
meaning it's not just a one way, but you understand that there's a wealth of value through their wisdom as well. So those are the things. Read the room, talk about the money and where it resides,
Mhm.
and power is in proximity. Get your circle together.
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely agree, especially with the money conversation, because we've been taught even in that, I'm just gonna say it how I say it. And I've even seen this here on Substack, and I was actually gonna write something about it, which I am. Stop acting as if selling is not as honorable as serving or giving something for free. Can we please have this conversation? Because
Mm,
if you are on Substack or any other platform with a link to your sales page, with a paid subscription option on, or any of the things, you're not just here to connect and build community. You're here to convert as well. And selling is just as honorable as giving away something for free because you are exchanging value that is going to transform someone's life.
mm,
Okay.
so good.
Because here's the thing, and I used to say this all the time, and I remember one of my apostles, he laughed. He said, I have to use this. And I told him, I said, the scriptures are free, but this strategy is for a fee. I pray for free, but I coach for a fee, right? Because I give value. If you follow me on Facebook or anything, I give the type of value. If you put the pieces together, you can walk away with a strategy to make
Mm,
money. And here's the other thing that we have to get out of the mindset of, especially for me, I'm a believer, right?
mhm,
Especially if you're a believer, you have to get out of this mindset that because you are a believer, because you are a Christian or any of those things, that you should give away your value for free. No, a workman is worthy of his hire. And if you didn't
mm,
value what I had to give, you wouldn't be in my inbox asking me questions on how you could do what I'm doing. That alone shows that you see what I share with you as valuable enough that it is going to transform your life in some capacity. And the only person that suffers when you don't stand on your value is you and your legacy.
mm,
That's who suffers because you have something that can break the cycle of lack or poverty or struggle or any of the things. However, holding, you are not valuing it enough to allow people to invest in the value that's on
mm.
your life. That
Okay.
part of the money conversation is also so necessary because we think that if we put a price on it, that it somehow becomes dishonorable or sleazy or any of the things. The only time selling is sleazy is if you are sleazy. Can we just be honest? That's the only time selling is sleazy is if you are sleazy because selling is just a skill set at the end of the day.
Mhm, mm,
It's a skill
absolutely.
set. It's an exchange of service. That's what that is. Because you're integral, I'm integral. I'm not charging you for something that I don't believe in myself. I'm not charging you for something that I haven't done or tried for myself. And imposters don't have imposter syndrome. Uh, you know, they don't have it. People who are really sleazy don't care about being sleazy. That alone lets you know you're in integrity, because if you're not in integrity, you wouldn't even have the thought or the question.
So good.
Do you get what I'm saying? So that
Mhm.
money conversation is so important. And the last part about the money thing that I want to talk about is stop charging based on what you think you're worth. First, you can never charge what you're worth because your value is priceless. Okay.
True.
So you can't charge what you're worth to begin with. However, you should charge for the value of the transformation and stop charging bottom of the barrel prices because you feel like I need to have a few more degrees under my belt before I can charge this. Or I need to put more skin in the game. I do believe in honest pricing. Do you get what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
However, if you are new to this particular area in your business, you don't charge beginning prices because you've been an expert for 20 years. Do you get what I'm saying? A lot of times, even with that pricing piece, we
Okay.
may be charging, we're comfortable selling and comfortable selling, but we're not comfortable enough to charge the value of the transformation because we're basing it on what someone else tells us that we need to do or we need to have. And we don't think of the three E's. When I'm talking to my clients about pricing, we're going to base on the three E framework: your experience, your expertise, and your education. You spent 8 years in school, sis, right? You've been in this industry for 15 years. You have expertise with proven results. And you mean to tell me all you want to charge is a couple of $100 an hour? Let's not do that to ourselves because they're going to take what you give them and they're going to 10 times it in results. At a minimum, there's a 10 times return on investment at a minimum.
Mhm.
That part of the money conversation we also need to have. I'm gonna shut up so I can.
Well, you ain't got to shut up because that's the conversation. That's the I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the fact that I heard transformation, transformation, because that is the bottom line. Look, I help people get to six-figure success, but my business coach is a seven-figure owner.
That part.
And and I invested in her the most, and not only in her, but my total amount of coaching I invested in myself the most this year that I've ever done. And because I'm expecting to
Mhm.
get a return on my investment.
Yeah. You know what? Here's what I tell people: I've never invested in anything and not gotten a return. Never have I invested in anything and not gotten a return. You know why? Because in order for you to get an ROI, return on investment, you have to take ROI, responsibility of investment.
Oh, that's good. So good. The
Okay.
response, right. You got to do the
You have
work.
to take responsibility. So if I invest in a coach and my coach has a session every week for me to deep dive, come in, learn a skill to apply, and I don't show up to those calls to get that information, and I leave here saying, I didn't get a return on my investment. No, I didn't take responsibility of the investment. The other thing for return on investment that we have to understand is that your return on investment is not always monetary.
Oh,
Sometimes your return on investment is the confidence you need to charge what you need to be charging. Sometimes the
mhm.
return on the investment is the identity shift that you need to make. Sometimes the return on the investment is the people that you connect with within that community that are going to now help you grow in other areas of your life. So, whenever you're investing in anything, your return on investment is based on what you value. If you only value money, you're going to look at it and you can look at it and say, well, I didn't get a return on my investment.
Right.
Okay.
So good. So good. And just to kind of bring that point home for those that are looking and aspire to, have a certain benchmark and salary, exactly what Shamika just said, that is your ladder that you're climbing leaning up against the wrong wall. When you say transformation, I say fill the gap.
Hmm.
I say I help you fill the gap because I've been there and I understand I'm going to save you not only unnecessary expense and headache, but I'm going to help you buy back time.
That.
And I'm going to help you move in a strategic, calculated rate because the risks are going to be there because we
Mhm,
can't predict the future. But if you can have a strategy to minimize,
mhm.
I'm going to charge for that
Absolutely.
because the pain point that I actually hit, you're not going to do because we know them.
Mm,
That's the exchange. You're going to do in 1 year what it took me 5 years
5
to do.
years to do.
That
Prove
makes
it.
sense? So
Yes,
I'm
because
helping you about that time.
yeah, you collapse the time, and time is the thing that you can always spend, but you never get back.
Never get back.
You never get back. And when we're thinking about legacy and we're thinking about freedom, freedom is what you are able to do with your time. That's what true freedom is.
For wealth.
Yes, that's true wealth, true freedom. What am I able to do with my time? When you start thinking about that, for those of you who are watching and you're in that space, start thinking about what time are you buying back? How do you want to spend your time? And then you need to start making those investments in, as she said, the coaches, the mentors, the strategists, or whatever, who are where you are so that you can get where you ultimately desire to be. However, when you are making the investment, know what you are actually investing in that coach for.
Exactly.
Know what you're investing for because oftentimes I've seen this happen is you see the money that they're making and you go in thinking, man, I need the money. I want to make the amount of money that she's made. Think about what attracted you to that person because what initially attracted you to them is not the money. Because there are so many people who do what that person does, but there's a reason you were attracted to that particular person. Think about what it was that attracted you to them because a part of that, what attracted you to them, is a part of what you're supposed to be learning from them, even if it is not necessarily that particular strategy. And I
Mm.
say that because I remember investing with the coach and she was already at 7 figures. So I invested with her because I was like, man, she's making 7 figures. I want to make 7 figures. And I got into her program and she went through my curriculum, my institution, and she said, "You have all this? You've done all of these things?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, I haven't done any of that." And she was honest enough to say, "You're so much farther along than I even recognize. I'm not sure how I can help you." I could have looked at this and said, "Oh my God, I wasted my money." However, when I invested in her, I made in the first 70 days, I made, was it 9? I believe it was 90K,
Um,
right? And I said, God, why was I unable to do this fast, like on my own? And he said, it wasn't her strategy you needed, it was her confidence. So I didn't need the strategy because the strategies, I already had my own strategies because I'd already been making money. I didn't have the confidence to charge what I should have been charging. Within 2 weeks of being in her program, I sold my first 5 figure offer within 2 weeks, and I sold it 3 times. And the crazy thing was, it wasn't that the offer changed, but I now have the confidence to charge what I should have been charging a long time ago. So when you're making those investments, think about again, what is it that is attracting you to that individual and the results that they are getting. Because you can, there are many people that teach us the same things, but there are few that are actually aligned to accelerate us.
alignment is key. It is
Hmm.
absolutely key.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. This
Very
has been
well.
so good. You have dropped so many nuggets. Listen, I'm taking notes on the paper. I'm taking so many notes. I had to flip the paper over. 'Cause I was out of room. But this has been so great. And I want to just do a quick recap of some of the things that you shared with us about laying that foundation. To lay that foundation, we need to trust ourselves. We need to learn how to read the room. We need to understand the data and we need power, the power of proximity. These things are so important and we need to have those money conversations. You need to talk about money just like you talk about your kids when they get their awards at school, just like you talk about Just like you talk about what you have to take out for dinner. It needs to be a normal and consistent part of the conversation. Another thing that you brought out, you said, you don't get what you want, you get what you negotiate. We have to know what we know about who we are, what we bring to the table, so that we can have the right conversations to negotiate based
Yes,
on the value that we bring, whether it's to the organization that you're working for, or if you're in conversations for contracts, or even in conversations to bring in new clients. You have to be willing to stand, understand your value, and stand on that so that you can have the right conversations.
that's right. I just want to add one footnote to those of you tapping in to those three core checkpoints. Start before you're ready.
Yes.
The confidence comes after the motion. The clarity reveals itself through the doing, not through the affirmations, not through the meditations. All that could be relevant in your life, but you got to get in there and do the work.
Yes.
So start before you're ready. And the more motion you have and the moves that you make that matter, you'll get clear, your confidence will grow. And that's the thing about second act is we were so good at that thing
Hmm.
that we were doing that we forget, you know, how it felt when we were learning and growing, and it becomes scary again.
Hmm.
Even at middle age, it's like, I don't want to recreate the well, no, no, it's different though, because we stand on exactly what you said, your E formula, experience, education. What was the third one you said?
Expertise.
You got a whole foundation
Hmm.
right there. So the second act success is totally different. So that's the mind frame in that. So once you put that motion on top of everything and understand you have to start before you're ready. Things
Absolutely.
will line up. Things will line up.
Yes. And second act success, I love that. You are my girl because you are like an alliteration queen as well. I love it. I love
I
to
am.
hear it. It rolls off your tongue like butter. Okay. But you've talked about that second act success. And here's the thing, you guys. You're not starting over. You're not starting new. You're starting now. That's
Yeah.
it. You're
That's it.
not starting new. You're starting now with the expertise, with all of these things that you're just bringing them in to your now, this other dimension. So
Mm.
stop looking at this as, oh my God, I have to start all over. No, baby, the foundation is laid solid. You're just building the new house
Yes.
because the foundation is there. Okay. But that's all I have. I didn't need to talk about me, what I do. I didn't want to. I wanted the people to hear from you today because I
Okay.
believe in what you are doing. I believe that you have something that is so powerful. And also, like I said in the beginning, that is needed for where we are, how things are transitioning. And it's so great to have someone who's been on both sides of the fence because you
Mhm.
have this beautiful blend of brilliance that,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
you have this beautiful blend of brilliance. And so people can come to you from those different walks of life. But because you have that, you can actually help them regardless of if they're going into entrepreneurship or if they're still continuing their path in corporate. And most people don't have that because we've been taught to be so linear, have a linear path, a linear lane, and we don't understand how we are uniquely designed to bring all of those things into our calling because there's people from so many different walks of life. So thank you for sharing with us today who you are, what you do.
See, this is what entrepreneurship does. I can do things like this. This doesn't feel like work because I enjoy this.
Yes. Yes. And the conversation doesn't feel rigid. And that's why we didn't have anything to do. We decided at the beginning, we're going to flow and allow this conversation to go as it needs because my core belief is that you will say I believe for me, God gives me what to say in that hour. Because it's not about me and I truly do desire to transform lives and serve people, when I'm on here, what do they need? Whatever comes out in this moment is what someone that is on here live or who's going to watch the replay needs.
Um,
And so I'm glad that we didn't go with a traditional kind of format in how we were going to do this, but I thoroughly enjoyed you. I just believe that people are going to really grow from this conversation. You guys, please make sure that you go follow her. Don't let this be a one and done. If what she has said in any capacity has resonated with you, go connect with her to see what she's doing and how she is out here trailblazing this path of the second act success, from corporate to calling. Go and connect with the work, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. What you are willing to do and to support, you will see that harvest. Don't do it because you want the harvest. Just know that when you do it, somebody somewhere is going to say, you know what? I don't want anything from you. I just want to see you win. Right.
yes.
So let's be that. A part of what I'm building with Red Center Wealth, I want a community of people who want to see each other win for real and are willing to put the mic down, let them speak and share their message. And there are people that are connected to me that I may never be able to help, but you may be able to help them, Jraya. And that's why I wanted you to be on here today. If I didn't believe in your message, I promise you I wouldn't have reached out.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Very well said. We could definitely close on that. You all that are tapped in, I feel the gap for people that do not know they are absolute rock stars in their game. So it's been a pleasure. This is a great conversation. I look forward to us having another conversation in the
Yes.
future, because this is a very relevant and real conversation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And I will slide in. Listen, I'm going to slide in your DMs, okay? Thank you guys for tuning in.